Hello, and in this video I'll be talking about the 7 things I disliked about Destiny. Supers in Destiny are lackluster and some are even the same. Some examples is the Blade Dancer, which is trash, and it's used for crowd control the same as the Titan's Hammer of Soul. So you think, alright, since the Blade Dancer is a melee super, it must last longer, or at least do more damage than the Hammer of Soul. But nope, the Hammer of Soul does way more damage than Blade Dancer and way easier to co-add in a raid-like environment. They both even have a health regen perk. Titans, which can get from any of their abilities, not just their super. The Blade Dancer lasts 12 to 14 seconds with no melee attacks, while Hammer of Soul lasts 30 seconds without throwing hammers. And the Hammer of Soul is ranged, while the Blade Dancer is melee. The Blade Dancer super ability is the worst in the entire game. No one ever uses it seriously in PvE, only when to go invis. Those aren't the only supers though. The Titans Fist of Havoc and Warlock's Nova Bomb literally accomplish the same exact goal of crowd control. Both has the same damage and same AoE, but guess what? Nova Bomb is ranged, while Fist of Havoc you need to get into melee distance. Alright, for this it's simple. Luke Smith basically said raids aren't guaranteed.
Said there wouldn't be a raid in House of Wolves. We were wondering if you could talk about that decision to not include a raid in the DLC. Like how did that kind of decision get made, and what did you guys do with that while you were thinking about it?
So I just want to clarify the back part. What did we do with, like, you said, what did you do with that? What is that modifying in the question? Like, what do we do with the plan to not announce that we're not doing a raid?
Well, was there a raid initially going to be released with House of Wolves? Did it get canceled? Did it get postponed? And how did you guys think the community would react to it?
Well, anytime the community's expectations are always going to exceed sort of what we can deliver, and I think our job with Destiny is to continue to try to rise up and meet those lofty expectations. But there was the raid, any sort of raid that we wanted to build for Destiny, like we had to find the right place to release it, and our appetite for what we wanted to do after Kurta's End was so large that the vehicle for that, it was going to be a major release like the Taken King. The raids are not, no one's going to like hearing this, but raids aren't a promise. Like it's not a promise. It's we're gonna build them to the best.
How's it that raids aren't guaranteed? Call of Duty Zombies Easter egg seems way more difficult to figure out than any of the Destiny's raids. Also, isn't Luke Smith and the raid team's job to create raids every DLC? That's like being a cop and saying, if you call me for an emergency, there's a chance I might not come. It is your job and needs to be done. I would understand if the raids were complex and be like, oh, this next release will be complex and difficult to figure out. But no, people figure the raid out in 5 hours, the most nowadays. I got the clip of Luke Smith speaking from the Planet Destiny podcast. If you haven't heard, with Planet Destiny, they make great content and guides. I believe the clip of Luke Smith saying this is PD podcast number 28. I'll leave a link in the description of their video with Luke Smith. It apparently took Destiny 10 years to get released publicly, and when it was, it didn't even feel like a finished game. It still felt like a beta with 6 rigs and 200 missions. The story shown is garbage in the game, with the stranger saying, I don't have time to explain why I don't have time to explain. You obviously have time to explain when you're telling me you don't have time to explain. The lore is amazing, and if they implemented the lore into the story, it would have been amazing. Our characters are mute throughout the entire story. When you complete a raid, you get no recognition. No one in the tower is like, holy shit, that guy came back alive from the Vault of Glass. No. But if we kill Guardians in the Crucible,
your victory gives the city hope, Guardians.
Why does killing Guardians in the Crucible show more recognition than killing a god? It makes no sense. The only person that gives you recognition is Shaq saying, I've been. But that's it. The speaker doesn't give like a speech like, yo, this guy's a god. The Vanguard isn't like good shit. No, just Shaq's the boy. Another thing that grinds my gears is that PvP and PvE both have the same updates. A bunch of people have requested to separate the updates. Bungie responded in a live stream saying that they don't want the system. Wait, what? They buff supers in PvE and shotguns as well? They went back on what they said and did it anyway. Since we see they have the ability to do it, why stop there? They should buff more things in PvE like fusion rifles and the trash exotics. Speaking of trash exotics, there are a bunch in the game, but I'm only gonna focus on some of them. The Skybearer's Annex exotic for hunters lets you get a chance to create an orb with the heavy weapon kills. And when you pick up an orb, when your super is full, you gain special ammo. Now let's think about this for a sec. Why the To make the most part of the first perk, you'll need to use heavy ammo on tiny adds like vandals, drugs, thralls, etc. But heavy weapons are most likely to be used on tier 2 or boss like enemies, not tiny adds. Plus, if you're a Night Stalker, you can create more than enough orbs with its other ability. The second part of the exotic perk lets you get special ammo with orbs when your super is full. Thankfully, unlike the first part of the perk, special ammo is guaranteed, but it only gives you 2, as you can see from the clip. It takes 8 orbs to fill my sniper. Not only that, but if my ammo and super is full, it still consumes orbs and does nothing with it. 8 orbs is enough for another tether ability, or Celestial Nighthawk shot. It isn't like special ammo is hard to come by either. If it was heavy, maybe it'll be usable. Another exotic that has complete booty cheeks is the ATSA Arachnid. It basically lets you zoom in when you aim with the golden gun. The clip itself will show you how useless it is. Alright, without ATSA Arachnid from this distance, Sepix takes 9,735 damage. Alright, now let's equip ATSA Arachnid. As you can see from the same range, it does more than double the damage at 21,097. So how is this bad, you ask? You'll find out when I equip Celestial Nighthawk. Celestial Nighthawk does 58,409 damage. That is almost triple the damage as ATSA Arachnid. What is even the point of using ATSA? Because Celestial Nighthawk does more damage than ATSA, regardless of range. These aren't the only trash exotics, there are many that are trash, but if I talked about them, we would be here all day. It takes Bungie way too long to create updates and balance patches. Not only do the patches focus on PvP and affect PvE players, but it literally takes them months upon months to release them. It took them 3 months to patch Suros when it was OP, and Thorn, forget about it. A year it took to release that patch to nerf it. Other games like Overwatch update the game very frequently. Not only that, but if they haven't released a patch in a while, the next patch will be humongous with balances, reworks, etc. I don't even know what Bungie does at their HQ. If raids aren't guaranteed and the DLCs are not that big, what do? Titan scaling is one of my most disliked things in Destiny. How is it that a guy that can go max armor and near max recovery be faster than everyone in the game? Not only that, but you go faster with it the lower agility you have. Look at this test I did it with my boy BlueShark Gaming. I had max agility and he had the lowest agility possible and I won in a foot race. Makes sense, right? Then we did it again, but he used Titan scaling while I used an exotic, Bones of Owl, and increased control as a jump. We had the same stats as before. He dusted me. You know, people use Bones of Owl and exotic to be agile with the hunter, but Titans don't need that. They can just spam jump left, right, forward, backwards, forward, whatever, and be the most agile class in the game. Before we get to this next test, look at this grenade BlueShark threw. He calculated it perfectly. Anyway, let's get to the test. So people in PvP use Blade Dancer as a mean of escape because of the agility and because of how trash it is. Now let's see if the Titans are faster with the jump. Even me using Bones of Owl and exotic, Blade Dancer, a super, and max agility on my hunter, he still dusted me. This shit is ridiculous. Easily faster than anyone in the game. And you know people make montages of this shit? They can literally go faster than sparrows. Bungie even said on a podcast that Titan skating was never intended to happen, so why is it still in the game? How does jumping make you faster? And it's not like a tiny bit of momentum either. They go flying. I'm almost positive that Bungie doesn't take it away because people are already used to it, and they will get pissed. Hopefully in Destiny 2 it will be fixed. Oh, you thought it was done? No. Not only are Titans the fastest vehicle in the game, but they're also the most tankiest. And they have perks like Juggernaut that makes you literally have a shield in front of your face that absorbs almost any damage. Referring to like Golden Gun, Sniper, anything. And they made it so you could activate it when you jump. What logic was that? Who thought that? Who thought, like, they're already the most fast class in the game? Who at Bungie was like, you know what? The fast class in the game, they're the tankiest class in the game. That Juggernaut perk that people don't use because they can't use it when they're jumping, let's give it to them so they can use shotguns and go at the speed of light and kill other people with things. Like, what? Like monkeys working on Bungie, bro. Like, what the hell?